Serious, in the spirit of October, what's the creepiest or most paranormal experience that has happened to you? When I was 7 years old, every night I could see a shadow of a little girl walking towards me while I lied in bed awake. Every time I saw her, I shut my eyes right away and went to sleep. One night I kept looking at the shadow and I waited for the shadow to come near me. The shadow came up to me on the right side of the bed and looked down at me. I kept looking at her. I only felt fear and discomfort. She put her face 2 inches away from mine. When she came closer, I saw my face in her face, except my eyes were glowing red and there was blood on my cheeks. In my head, I screamed a little. I shut my eyes for 30 seconds. I opened them. I never saw that shadow ever again. Not sure if this is 100% paranormal, but I'm pretty sure it is, so I'm going to tell it. When I was 8, I was walking home from school with my friend. We were just casually talking about whatever when we both looked over at the steps of this house we were walking by. It looked normal at first, just a girl sitting on the steps playing with something, but then I noticed something. She had a knife through her head. The handle was at one side, the blade sticking out the other. My friend and I both just froze and then ran. I thought I was imagining it, but she saw it too. To this day we are not sure what we saw, but I'm convinced it was a ghost. Now whenever we walk by that house I always check to see if she's there again, but she never is. When my family lived in a shitty apartment where everyone had to share the laundry room in the basement of the apartment, the room has no windows and the only light source was the little bit of sunlight that leaked onto the stairs, but only the stairs, and it couldn't reach the basement. BC the way down is kinda curved and the basement is still pitch black. The other light source was the light bulbs that in order to turn on you had to pull the string. Once you're down there is 2 rooms in the basement, one on the left and one on the right. The room on the right, a storage room, if I can remember, had a broken light bulb and the only light in there was this single bulb in the laundry room. When I was 4, my mother took me down there to do the laundry and to have someone else with her. And as she was in the middle of doing the laundry, I pointed and said, "Mommy, who's that man standing in the dark room over there?" And as soon as I said that, my mother rushed the laundry and took my hand and we bolted out of the basement. All of this was according to my mom, who told me years later that incident. My ex-wife and I don't agree on much, but the one thing we agree on was that we had a close encounter of the third kind. We lived out in the country and was outside at night. Next thing we knew, everything was quiet, and then we noticed that all the stars disappeared except for 3, and it seemed darker than usual. After a good minute of us kind of in shock, we realized the stars coming back like a curtain being pulled open. Then we noticed a massive triangular dark shape getting smaller as it disappeared in the horizon. Took us a second, but we think it was something huge that blocked our view of the stars. It was huge and it was quiet. On everything else besides this, my ex-wife is a fucking liar. I've had sleep paralysis a few times, but probably the most creepy thing that's ever happened was with my friend when she was over. We were talking about a dream she had where a man in a car kept following her or something. She just kept going on, and I suddenly got this really weird feeling, like the hairs on the back of my neck stood up, and I got this really weird feeling in my gut, and I said we shouldn't be talking about this. The weird thing was she told me she felt the same way and agreed with me. We both left my room and the weird feeling went away. Also, I'm not exactly sure if this counts as paranormal, but I've had dreams about things that have actually happened once I woke up. Not fun. Not really scary or creepy, but it did kinda shake me up a bit. My little brother used to sleepwalk sometimes. He wasn't walking with his eyes closed or anything like that, he was running around, crying, whining, and panicking. One time, I witnessed him running downstairs then back up trying to look for our mom. My parents did all they could to try to help him, but everything they tried wouldn't work. When I was 13 and my brother was 10, my dad started to go back to church and start practicing Catholicism again. My dad got some holy water from the church. My brother would still sleepwalk, but once my dad sprinkled holy water in our house, including our room, he suddenly stopped. And no, he did not grow out of it. He still ran around like wild in his sleep. But after that, he just stopped. No more night terrors, nothing. He would sleep peacefully. As a religious person, it gives me chills thinking that maybe something was tormenting him. Maybe it was a coincidence, but who knows? I'm not sure if this is paranormal or my mind messing with me, but a few years ago, probably when I was 12, in the middle of the night my 15 at the time brother asked me to sleep in his room. I'm a girl, so I found this weird. I asked him what was wrong, and apparently at school that day, he learned about robbers in the area we lived that had been knocking on kids' windows and scaring them. He was freaked out. I told him to shut the blinds. He was honest to gosh freaked out, so I slept on his pull-out sofa bed for a few hours. When he was asleep, I crept back to my room that I shared with my sister and crawled in bed. After a few minutes of laying there, I heard taps on the window. I immediately froze and blinked to make sure I was hearing it right and that I wasn't groggy from lack of sleep. Sure enough, I heard it again. My back was facing the window, and I was too scared to look. I pulled the covers over my face and laid like that for what seemed like hours. I finally worked up the courage to look. Nothing. There's not even any trees near my window. Just a view of the neighbor's house. I was fucked up in the morning. I knew it had to be something human or something with awareness because of the consistency of the taps. Never experienced anything like that again. I have a few creepy stories from when I was little. The first one is from my old house. I apparently was able to talk to my dead grandma, whom I did not know the name of and died weeks before I was born. We would play trucks and my sister did tea parties with her. Don't remember it though. In the same house I would see colored figures in the kitchen from my sister's room late at night. In that hallway late at night I once heard a female voice calling my name when I was going to my mom's room. Think it was my dead grandma. I still remember it very vividly. One time while camping I saw a shadow of a man in the window while trying to sleep. I wasn't freaked out but proceeded to ask my mom, is that a bad guy? Then went to sleep. In the old house mentioned before, I saw a guy I thought was my dad on the toilet but disappeared. At my alive at the time grandma's house, which I live in now, I saw my ghost grandpa appear a few times. Hasn't happened since a priest came to do his thing, mom's request. I still have some creepy moments happen with less frequency as I get older. So to sum it up, dead relatives, a haunted house, and creepy campsite. Creepy window guy. Sorry if my English is not that good, so this happened around Halloween's week. I was at the country club of my city with a friend of mine. We were walking down the golf area, just taking a nice walk in the night. I think it was around 10 p.m. so it was pretty dark. I remember that it was pretty cold at night. Here where I live it always gets so cold during this time of the year, so I had a sweater but my friend didn't. We were walking to his house so he could put on a sweatshirt and get back to the golf area. We were just looking at the houses while we were walking, and suddenly I caught a glimpse of what I thought it was a guy staring at us from a house. We could see a little bit from the inside of the room. The blinds were mid-closed so all we could see was the pitch black figure of a guy standing very still in front of the window, just as if he was watching us. I told my friend about it and we stayed there trying to figure out if it was like a decoration to scare people in Halloween or if it was really someone looking at us. We moved around foolishly as expecting to see him move a little bit, but he just stayed still. 5 minutes passed I think, and just from nowhere the guy raised his hand as if he was waving at us, but he just put his hand on the window, his hand plain open. That really creeped us out. The way he was just staring at us and that it was really someone, was so scary. We started laughing nervously and waved at the guy in the window for about 30 seconds, and suddenly he waved slowly at us, moving his hand slowly from left to right, over and over again. He did this for quite a long time so it was uncomfortable. We decided to leave, but as soon as we started to walk away we saw him go out to his window, and from the window that was in the first floor, we were able to see him going down the stairs, slowly. It was really creepy, and since then I've had curiosity about whom he was and why he was so persistent in this. I stayed overnight at my grandparents' house with my cousin. It was late in the night and her and I were just laying in bed talking about random stuff, when I see a glowing orb floating around across the room. I thought it was just my eyes playing tricks on me, so I ask her if she sees it too, where she replies yes. We both get a little spooked and stop talking for a bit. A few seconds later, the light sparks, like this: https://giphy.com/gifs/semzuristate physics sparks semzuristate 2-day LMEs 20 kbo 14W2XGT, as if the light bulb exploded. We both scream and hide under the blankets for the rest of the night. We checked the next morning if something went wrong with the light, but it worked perfectly normal.